August 1st, 1:26 a.m. So this call is going to be a little bit jarring, of course, for anybody who isn't a sociopath. It's going to be a little bit difficult for you to understand and empathize with this person's position because it's so far away from anybody's who experiences emotions. I know this interview is pretty crazy for me. Another thing, the audio got messed up. I don't know how it happened, but you can tell what we're both saying. He sounds a lot clearer than I do. I still sound somewhat clear, but you can tell what I'm saying, and I'd like to apologize for that. I wish it didn't happen, but the call's good enough that I still decided to go ahead and post it. So I hope you guys enjoy. If you enjoy, please leave a rating on whatever app it is that you're listening on.
Yo, Jackplex, answer the fucking phone, dude.
Earlier today, I went and I got some Greek yogurt, and I was in a little bit of a rush actually. I couldn't make it in time for this episode. Unfortunately, I went ahead and I grabbed wrong Greek yogurt, and it didn't have vanilla in it. And to be honest, once I took my first bite of it, I was deeply upset. On the phone right now, I'm currently speaking to somebody who, and please correct me if I'm mislabeling it, diagnosed as a sociopath. And,
that's correct.
You know, the same way that I felt like, I think I kind of choose what emotions I kind of want to associate myself with, if that makes sense. Like, I feel the upsetness of getting the wrong fucking yogurt, but I don't really feel like the need to like act on it. And I feel a very wide range of emotions. And of course, you only act on the ones that like, you know, you want to act on. But for you, it is to my understanding that if you're diagnosed as a sociopath, you do not feel these emotions. And
that's correct.
And I kind of want you to explain to me, like, from your day to day, like what is the emotion that you mostly associate yourself with?
Okay, so sometimes it's hard for me to explain because I'm still a work in progress and I don't completely feel like I know myself that well yet. Maybe I never will know myself completely. So especially with my emotions, when I do feel any at all, a lot of the times when I feel some sort of emotion, I have a hard time understanding what exactly I'm feeling. So if it was happiness, I wouldn't know because I don't feel happiness all that often. So I couldn't pinpoint and say exactly it was happiness. Do you understand?
And I do understand. Just kind of describe to me like the process of like how you even realize that this was like a problem.
Okay, so growing up, I always kind of knew something was different. I mean, I've had a lot of trauma throughout my life, especially when I was younger, preteen and teen. So I always kind of knew something about me was different, but I never really cared to go down the path to explore what was different or venture into trying to figure out what was wrong with me because I didn't care. And I still kind of don't care. But so what happened to lead me on this path was I took some time off work. I work in an environment that it's prone to a lot of traumatic experiences. I experienced what normal people would call a traumatic experience at work. Although I didn't feel anything about it, it was a death. I knew that I could exploit the system by taking some time off, so I did that under the guise that, you know, the death was really bothering me when I didn't feel anything about it. So I exploited the system, took some time off, but the conditions were I had to speak to a psychiatrist. So I did that, and I played it up, and I buttered him up a little bit, and I made him believe that I had PTSD, when in fact I didn't feel anything, like I said, about the death or even my prior traumatic experiences from when I was a child, teen, early adult. So they diagnosed me with PTSD, which I don't believe I have, and I got to take some time off work and get paid for it. So I manipulated them to get what I wanted. Then things kind of got interesting. My girlfriend, she ended up seeing a video of another sociopath on YouTube, and she kind of showed it to me, and she said, you know, this is kind of you. At first I was like, no, that's not me, you know? But the more I watched it, I started to think about it, and it kind of did fit my profile, you know, some of the things I just explained to you and how I am. I started to open up a little more about it to my psychiatrist, and he wanted to delve a little deeper into it. And so we did. And, you know, I started being more open and honest about things because I was kind of curious to understand myself, why I did some of the things I did and why I had always felt different in my life. And it turns out, according to him, I have antisocial personality disorder. That's what they call it now. I don't care. Anybody can call it what they want. It doesn't bother me. So yeah, that's what led me to, self-awareness and the actual diagnosis.
Can I get a little bit more details about like this environment it was that you're working in when this person had passed away in front of you?
So I work in law enforcement. I had happened upon someone who had overdosed. I've seen dead bodies before. I've been around death and things like that my whole life. So when I happened upon the gentleman, I knew that he was dead immediately.
Let me ask really quick. Were you with anybody in this particular moment when you had witnessed this person that passed?
Yeah, I had a partner.
How was his reaction?
He was freaking out a little bit, but that's, that can be expected. But myself, I was calm, cool, and collected.
Whenever I witness something, like, it doesn't even have to be jarring, too. It could just be, like, something funny or something, whatever. I'll usually kind of, like, look to the person next to me, like, for confirmation, if that makes sense. Did he look at you, like, for confirmation and you didn't give any, or did you not even pick up on it, or did he just not do that in that moment?
I don't think he did, because it was a chaotic environment, chaotic situation. Mm-hmm. So I think he was just more focused on himself at the time. But I do remember, like, in the process of doing CPR on the person, I do remember thinking, like, holy shit, why is he freaking out so much? And that happens to me quite often because, like I said, I don't feel things and I don't understand emotions. So for him to freak out like that, and I kind of don't understand really why he would freak out. But I do get, it's kind of weird because it's like I don't understand, but I can think about it later and say, okay, well, we were in a chaotic situation. I can understand how people might not be able to handle it as well as me, but it's still, like, you know what I mean? It's still something I don't understand.
And how long ago did this incident in particular happen?
That one happened 2016, so that's 6 years.
Damn, it's been 6 years. Holy shit. Well, not like relating to your to the incident, but just more so like damn, it's 2022.
2016.
Yeah. Do you mind telling me a little bit more about like your childhood and stuff, and like what you think? Like, okay, I know that some people are just naturally born with these things. Do you think that you were born with it, or it was as a result of the trauma that you experienced as a child?
That's what I kind of am looking into, because I'm not exactly sure. Now, looking back, I can definitely tell you my father had some sort of mental illness, as well as my mother. So my father, I know he spent some time in the mental institution when I was really little, so I don't remember, but I know because I was told. I remember when he got out. Well, I don't remember when he got out, but like after he got out, he still suffered from some sort of mental illness. I couldn't tell you what it was, so I'll give you a couple of examples of his mental illness, a couple little stories. One of them was, I remember I was really little, maybe 5 or 6, and he kind of lost it a little bit, and he was at home alone. I'd gone out with my mother somewhere, I can't remember, and I remember coming to the door to enter the house, and he was sitting at the kitchen table, and my mother stopped me, and I remember him holding a knife, and he was like motioning us to come in, and my mom wouldn't bring me in, and so he got upset and started stabbing the table with the knife, and obviously my mom grabbed me, and we left. So there was that incident. I have a bunch, but I'll just give you 2 quick ones. There was that incident, and another one that I can remember where we used to have a dog, and the dog was very shaggy, had a lot of fur, and they would go outside and take a shit on the lawn. Sometimes the shit would get stuck to its fur, and then the dog would come inside and, with shit on it still, jump on top of my father's bed and sleep and get shit all over the blankets. And my dad would sleep in it. That just kind of tells you off the bat that, he had something wrong with him.
Like there would still be feces on the blanket.
Yeah. And I slept in it too, because I didn't know any better. Yeah, that's my dad. My mom always, I could tell she was depressed. It's easier to kind of name what she was going through, because as an adult, we've kind of all been through it, but I could tell she was depressed. So relating back to the original question, I can't really say if it's something I picked up from them or it's just through my childhood experiences.
Are your parents still together?
No.
So what's the emotion that you feel the most, you would say?
I'd probably say anger. Yeah, anger is probably the biggest one. Even that, it takes a lot to make me angry. But when I get to that point, I have to be really careful, especially when people are kind of challenging me a little bit, because I have been prone to violence a little bit.
For me, when I feel anger, it's a very, very fiery emotion. It's very like, It's almost It's damn near intoxicating, actually, because for me, when I feel anger, I feel a lot of like your blood starts to rush, your heart beats a little bit faster, like you're a lot more in the moment. It's actually almost like a drug in a sense. It's a very, very intense emotion, and for that reason, I choose not to act on it, because I've had the privilege to have the examples of people who weren't angry growing up, and on top of that, I think naturally too, I just tend to not try to act on the emotion. Can you kind of describe to me how anger feels for you?
I think that's actually one of the emotions that I'm able to identify when I'm feeling it, because I feel it more often than others. But for me, it depends how angry I get. For me, it's either I'm very, very angry or I'm not at all. And in order to get very, very angry, something in my eyes that's drastic needs to happen. So somebody needs to like touch me in a physical or confrontational way. I think that would probably be my biggest trigger, or somebody challenging me. So if that happened, it's kind of like my whole thought process goes out the window and I act on impulse. So I want to hurt that person.
Do you still work in law enforcement? So I think that law enforcement, and of course you guys are very much exposed to very high stress situations. I mean, I think you've also said too that you're also like kind of like prone to violence and stuff. Just because, do you think that it's ethical for you to work for law enforcement, giving your natural temperament?
So I'll explain it a little bit. So it kind of balances out, because the most important thing in the world to me is myself and the things that I want in this world. What I want is to have power, to have money, to have respect. I'm able to control my anger when I get into confrontations at work, because that negates the fact, because I always have to wear a mask to hide the fact that I am a sociopath, that I have antisocial personality disorder. The biggest thing for me is to always wear this mask so other people see me as normal, and it's almost like a process that's automatic. I don't even have to think about it. I just do these things, to appear normal. And so instances that happen at work, it's like I don't even have to think not to get too violent or not break the rules at work, because me putting on this front is the most important thing to me, so I can always keep the power that I have, so that I can always keep the respect that I have, so I can always, my career, which pays very well. So if I didn't have those things that I wanted, then I would be more inclined to, step over the line and just hurt people or do things like that, It was more severe when I was younger, because I tended to act more impulsively and I didn't ever think of things. But now that I'm becoming more self-aware, I'm able to, think about things a little more clearly.
So I think, and again, you mentioned that you've been kind of like prone to just having like, I think this emotion, like you said, you identify with anger often, and you've acted on it in the past. When was the last time that you think that you acted on the emotion of anger?
It's been a long time, maybe 10 years ago.
So you seem to have a very, again, like this mass that you're describing, you seem to have it.
Yeah, I'm very in tune with myself and the things that I have to do in order to appear normal and for others to see me as normal. I've had my whole life pretty much to perfect the craft and work on it, So in the beginning, like I said, it was more trial and error, just getting used to things. But now, I don't even have to think about things. It's automatic for me.
Are you being your real self right now?
Yeah.
I think that even in like this moment, I really do try to hear what everybody's saying, especially when I'm just talking about like the show and stuff. And I try to like understand their emotions by trying to relate. Like, for example, like if you talk about like, if somebody talks about a moment that they were sad, I'll think about a moment that I was sad, like maybe like when a childhood pet died or something bad happened or X and X. As we talk like right now, like are you trying to like empathize with me as we go on, or is this not like a process for you?
No, I don't feel empathy. So if we were friends and you came to me with a problem that was really bothering you, I wouldn't be able to feel anything for you. Even though say I knew you my whole life, it's just the way I'm built. I don't feel empathy. I don't feel remorse, and I rarely feel anything.
Do you feel love? Like or is it just like more of like a sexual thing?
Yeah, it's more of a sexual thing. I have a daughter who I think is pretty much the closest person to me actually loving somebody. I also have a son, but things are changing with my son because he's getting older, and like when he was younger, like my daughter's age, I felt the same way as I do now with my daughter. But as he's getting older, for some reason that I don't understand, I don't feel it as much, whatever it is. I still put on the mask, as a father. He doesn't know, you know what I mean? Like he always sees me as his father, and I try to convey to him what I think love is, or what I think other fathers, do to show their love.
have you ever like explained to them that this is how you truly feel, or are you gonna wait until they're both like older, or maybe not at all?
I don't plan on ever sharing with them. I'm sure as they get older, they'll probably be able to tell that I'm different, as most people can after they've known me for a while. But unless you've studied psychology or abnormal psychology, I mean, you wouldn't be able to place what was wrong with somebody like me, you know?
Do you feel free right now in this moment to just kind of like release this mask that you'd spoken of and just be yourself right now?
I don't really feel anything about it, but I know that I am kind of like a narcissist. I like to talk about myself. I like attention, but in certain ways.
I can definitely relate to you on that one.
For me, being on here is like a chance to talk about myself, because as I said earlier, I'm my favorite person and it's all about me usually. So
do you ever like do you find things funny or crack jokes?
I don't laugh that much, but I do. I crack jokes sometimes, but it's usually other people doing the joking. Like my girlfriend, she'll try and show me funny videos and stuff like that, but it's extremely rare that I find what she's watching funny. So I kind of like, I do my part to pretend, you know, and you know what a normal person would do, you know, laugh and joke around with their spouse or their friends, but really inside, you know, I don't feel anything. I don't find it funny.
Have you disclosed to her your diagnosis?
She knows.
How does she feel about it? How does she navigate around it or with it?
She's weary, you know, she has to keep her guard up at all times. And I'm doing my best to be a good boyfriend, you know, good father. But it's hard. It's hard to not act impulsively, and it's hard to just not be the person that the person under the mask wants to be.
Are you still seeing a psychiatrist / therapist?
Yeah.
How is that going currently?
It's going good. You know, I'm finding out a lot of things about myself. I'm discovering things about myself. So it's helped me a lot, because if I hadn't have gone down this path, I'd still be hurting my girlfriend. I'd still be manipulating people and using people and doing things like that. So even though, you know, I don't feel things and it's not helping me in that department, maybe it never will, it's helping me to, I guess, in society's view, be a better person.
When you mention like manipulating people and like hurting people, like by what means would you usually like manipulate / hurt someone?
So there's different ways I would use somebody. One would be for sex. A lot of the times, especially when I was younger, you know, I would meet a woman, butter her up, you know, because I'm really good at reading people and what they like, and I'm really good at reading their emotions, and then I can mimic their emotions. So if somebody likes something, I could mimic it to make it seem like I was into it. I would do research about it to find out, you know, everything I could, and then I would use things like that against the person, build their trust, their interest in me, and then I would eventually exploit it to get what I wanted out of them.
Damn.
And then there's also the side where, you know, I would manipulate and use people because to me it was like a game, you know. I was always trying to beat these people mentally, to show that I was superior to them, that I could figure them out. It's kind of like how you would play a video game or chess or checkers, you know. You always got to be one step ahead, and to me that was kind of like, it would kind of bring out some emotion in me or some feelings or something. Like, I think it was because of the risk, so it would kind of get my adrenaline going a little bit. And when you have adrenaline, you tend to feel things, you know, physically. So I think that played a big part into me doing those kinds of things also.
Does your job know about your diagnosis also?
No.
You plan on keeping it to yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Because you know what? My diagnosis and me being like this, I don't bring it to work and I don't bring it around people too often. Like I said, the most important thing to me right now at this stage in my life is keeping up appearances and just having people see me as being what you would consider as normal, you know?
What things is it that you're is it a psychiatrist? I'm assuming you have both, or just a therapist, or?
So yeah, psychiatrist.
What techniques do they give you to kind of like not do the aforementioned?
So they're more about like self-discovery. They like to, I'm kind of picking up on their strategy, you know, without them telling me, but I'm kind of sensing that they want me to figure things out on my own, you know? Like they're trying to point me in directions to where I can figure my own answers out on my own. That's what I'm picking up anyways. I could be completely wrong.
Do you think you have any questions for me?
Okay, I'll ask you one. So if you found out that you had the funds to go on vacation to anywhere you wanted, how would that make you feel?
Like, am I given like $2, $3, $4 million, or do I just like I only have the funds to go to this place and back?
It's not even about how much money you have. It's just that you have enough money where you could just go, to any place you wanted and enjoy yourself. It's just about how you would feel. It's not even about the money.
I would feel like I feel so accomplished. I'd feel so like I'd feel happy. I'd feel like I was able, or I'd want to like provide it to somebody else too. I'd want to.
Would you feel excitement?
Yes, very much.
So I don't feel anything like that. I've been on vacations and, I've seen people around me get excited and amped up because they're going on vacation and, they're going to have a good time. But for me, I don't feel that. And sometimes I get a little annoyed by people because to me, it's like, I don't understand what they're feeling. And so in my mind, it's kind of like, well, why are you so excited? Even though I know why they're excited. So that's just a little more insight to the way my brain works.
Yeah, I think that like throughout this entire conversation, there's been like definitely not a disconnect, but like I feel like I could just tell, like again, just by your honesty in the way that you're describing things, like you just perceive things completely differently. So when you're describing certain moments in your life and whatnot, just like the chillness that you go, okay, a couple of days ago I was actually on the phone with somebody who was on the verge of suicide, and even when he was describing like some of his worst moments, like, you could just hear it in his tone that he was just very like deeply upset to have experienced this. I think that like when you were speaking, like your tone has pretty much stayed the same. You seem to not be very like moved by anything. Like the more and more we talk, I think it just broadens my understanding of like how deep this goes, because like almost like a different, we're just experiencing the human body in two completely different ways.
Yeah, you're completely right.
You like, it's just the way you talk about things and the way you like address things. I'm just honestly, I'm like slightly confused half the time, because I'm like, why are you so like, why are you feeling this way? But it's because like you don't feel, and that's the thing. Like every time you were speaking about something, I'd have to remind myself, be like, he doesn't feel, and I'd be like, damn, that's crazy. Like it's so different.
I can tell you about, not that I will, but I can going back to what you were talking about, I can tell you about very traumatic instances from when I was a child, and murders that I witnessed, and the extreme poverty that I lived through, and I can tell you it without feeling anything. I can relive it like it just happened yesterday, and it's something that I don't completely understand why I am the way I am. Guess I kind of want to make it clear that it was never my intention to hurt people or be this way. It's just
I do believe you too, by the way, just based off like how you're like, yeah, like I'm seeing a psychiatrist and I'm like doing X and X. It seems like you've garnered an understanding. And honestly, when I put myself in your shoes and I think about it, like if I were in your body where I could not feel like emotions, or I felt emotions the way you describe how you feel yours, I'm like, well, honestly, like would I have picked up on this any faster? Probably so.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I definitely do believe you when it comes to these things. I do think that the law enforcement thing does kind of trip me out a little bit, just because of the sense that like I feel like emotions should be very valued if you work in that sector, because of the fact that you want to, at least in my opinion, I feel like you should try to like empathize with people so that you can help them in whatever it is that they may need in whatever situation. I think that'd be my only gripe, or my only like thing that I feel like I'm not getting too much. But again, you like the way you described it, where you're like, the thing that matters the most to me is like, okay, like I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, and going back to that, I've saved lives, and I've done a lot of good things through work because it's my job. I have a duty to do, even though I don't gain any reward from it feelings wise. It's still my job, and it's still something that I have to do. Now, I also should say that if you were to meet me in person, you're right now getting the real side of me. If I wanted to put on my mask, I could have a conversation with you, I could joke with you, I could laugh with you, I could become your best friend if that's what I wanted. It's literally like I'm a professional actor. This is a role that I'm playing. So if I wanted to, I could put on a completely different role, and you wouldn't think anything of it. You believe everything that I said, everything that I did. you know. So that's kind of my role at work.